Princess Arya stood on the observation deck of her warship, watching the small blue planet rotate slowly in the void. Earth, such an insignificant world, she thought. Its people were even more insignificant. Soft bodies, no natural armor, no claws, no enhanced strength. They were prey animals that somehow learned to build starships. The Kalrathi Empire had conquered 17 star systems. Her people were warriors, standing 3 meters tall with skin like living crystal that could deflect most weapons. They were born for battle, raised for glory. And now the High Council wanted her to marry one of these ... humans. The political marriage was supposed to prevent war. The Council discovered Earth only 6 months ago, and they wanted to absorb it peacefully into the Empire. Arya understood the strategy, but she hated it. She was a warrior princess, not a political tool. Yet here she stood, waiting to meet her future husband. "Princess, the human delegation has arrived," her guard captain announced. Arya turned from the window. "Send them in." The doors opened, and 5 humans entered. They looked ridiculous in their formal suits, barely reaching her chest in height. The one in front stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Princess Arya, I am Jinwoo. It is an honor to meet you." Arya studied him carefully. He was average for a human, perhaps 170 centimeters tall. Dark hair, dark eyes, unremarkable features. His voice was calm, almost too calm. There was no fear in his eyes, which surprised her. Most species trembled when meeting a Kalrathi warrior for the first time. "You are to be my husband," Arya said flatly. It was not a question. "If you will have me, yes," Jinwoo replied. "I have no choice." "Neither do you." Arya walked around him slowly, examining him like one might examine a new weapon. "You look weak." "I suppose I am, by Kalrathi standards," Jinwoo agreed. His easy acceptance irritated her. "And you accept this marriage?" "My government believes it will bring peace between our peoples. I serve my people as you serve yours." Arya noticed something strange during this exchange. Her guard captain, a veteran of 30 campaigns, was watching Jinwoo with unusual intensity. And among the other delegates, Ambassador Dex of the Vorian Collective, an ancient species that had traveled the stars for millennia, was staring at Jinwoo with what looked like fear. The wedding took place 3 weeks later aboard the royal flagship. Representatives from 40 species attended. It was a grand ceremony, full of ritual and tradition. Arya wore her ceremonial armor, polished until it gleamed like starlight. Jinwoo wore a simple black suit. Throughout the ceremony, Arya kept noticing the same pattern. Younger species treated Jinwoo with polite condescension. But the older races, those who had seen more of the galaxy, watched him differently. Some with curiosity, others with barely concealed nervousness. When the ceremony ended, they were officially married. Arya felt nothing but resentment. Jinwoo simply smiled his calm smile and thanked everyone for attending. The first month of their marriage was tense. They shared quarters on the flagship, but Arya made it clear she wanted nothing to do with her husband beyond political necessity. She spent her days training with her warriors, pushing her body to its limits in the combat arena. Jinwoo spent his days reading, meditating in their quarters, and observing the ship's operations. He never complained about Arya's coldness. He never demanded her attention or respect. He simply existed beside her, calm and quiet. This infuriated Arya more than any insult could have. One evening, after a particularly brutal training session, Arya returned to their quarters to find Jinwoo preparing tea. He offered her a cup. "I do not want your tea," Arya snapped. "That is fine," Jinwoo said, setting the cup down gently. "But it is here if you change your mind. Why are you so calm?" Arya demanded. "Do you not feel humiliated? Married to someone who despises you?" Jinwoo considered this for a moment. You do not know me well enough to despise me. You despise the situation. I understand that. I despise weakness, Arya corrected. Perhaps, Jinwoo said. But strength comes in many forms. Arya laughed bitterly. A human philosophy. Your people have been in space for barely a century. What do you know of strength? More than you might think, Jinwoo replied softly. The turning point came during a state dinner 6 weeks into their marriage. Commander Vex, a Kalrathi noble who commanded a battle fleet, had drunk too much fermented crystal wine. He stood at the table and pointed at Jinwoo. Look at the princess's pet human, Vex announced loudly. Tell me, little man, what does your species contribute to the galaxy? You have no strength, no honor, no warrior tradition. You are domesticated prey animals playing at civilization. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Jinwoo. Arya felt a strange tension in the air, though she could not identify its source. She expected her husband to cower, or perhaps to ask her to defend his honor. Instead, Jinwoo set down his glass carefully and smiled at Vex. You may be right, Commander. Humans have always been better at adapting than fighting. We survive by being flexible, not by being strong. The Kalrathi nobles laughed. Vex looked triumphant. But Arya noticed that Ambassador Vex was not laughing. The ancient Vorian had gone very still, his multiple eyes fixed on Jinwoo with an expression that looked almost like terror got after dinner. Arya confronted the ambassador privately. Why do you fear my husband? Vex's eyes widened. Fear? Princess, I do not know what you mean. Do not lie to me, Ambassador. I have seen it in you and others of the older races. You watch Jinwoo as one might watch a sleeping predator. Why? The ambassador was silent for a long moment. Then he said quietly, Princess, there are things in this galaxy older and more dangerous than the Kalrathi Empire. Some knowledge is better left buried. If you are wise, you will not dig too deeply into your husband's origins. That is not an answer, Arya insisted. It is the only answer I can give you, Vex replied. And he walked away. That night, Arya lay awake in her sleeping chamber, watching Jinwoo meditate in the next room through the open doorway. He sat perfectly still, his breathing so slow it seemed he barely breathed at all. In the dim light, she thought she saw something strange, like a faint shimmer in the air around him. But when she blinked, it was gone. What are you? She wondered. And why does the galaxy fear you? She did not know that in 3 days she would have her answer. The Vrath corsairs were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The alarms woke Arya from a deep sleep. She was on her feet instantly, her warrior training taking over. The flagship's emergency lights bathed everything in red as the alarm continued its piercing wail. All hands to battle stations. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Arya grabbed her armor and weapons, dressing in seconds. Jinwoo was already awake, standing by the window, looking out at the stars. In the distance, she could see the attacking ships. Black, irregular shapes covered in spikes and weapons. Her blood ran cold. Vrath corsairs, she said. We need to get you to the safe room. I will stay here, Jinwoo said calmly. You will die here, Arya corrected. The Vrath are the most savage raiders in known space. They have never lost a boarding action. I know what they are, Jinwoo replied, still gazing out the window. Before Arya could argue further, the ship shook violently. Explosions echoed through the hull. The corsairs were already breaching the ship in multiple locations. Arya's communicator crackled to life. Princess, they are cutting through our defenses. We cannot hold them. Arya swore in her native language. She grabbed Jinwoo's arm. Come with me now. To her surprise, he followed without argument. They ran through the corridors, Arya leading them toward the command center where her best warriors were gathering. Around them, the sounds of battle grew louder. Energy weapons discharged, metal screamed as it was torn apart, and worst of all, the howling war cries of the Wrath echoed through the ship. They turned a corner and ran straight into a Wrath boarding party. 6 of them, each standing over 2 meters tall, with 4 arms and bodies covered in cybernetic enhancements. Their leader, a massive creature with glowing red implants, spotted them immediately. "The princess and the human," the Wrath leader growled. "Perfect. Thorax will be pleased." Arya pushed Jinwoo behind her and raised her crystal blade. The weapon hummed to life, glowing with stored energy. "Get behind me and stay there." The Wrath warriors spread out, surrounding them. Arya was one of the finest warriors in the Kalrathi Empire, but 6 Wrath in close quarters, with her needing to protect Jinwoo. The odds were not good. The first Wrath lunged at her. Arya's blade swept up, catching the creature across the chest. The Wrath screamed and fell back, but 2 more immediately took its place. Arya fought with desperate skill, her blade moving faster than the eye could follow. She cut down another Wrath, and another, but she was tiring. The cybernetically enhanced raiders were relentless. One of them got past her guard, heading straight for Jinwoo. Arya tried to intercept, but she was too far away. The Wrath's clawed hand reached for her husband. Jinwoo caught the Wrath's wrist dot. It happened so casually that Arya almost missed it. Jinwoo simply reached out and grabbed the Wrath warrior's arm as it came toward him. The raider tried to pull back, but could not move. Jinwoo's grip was like iron. "I really hoped it would not come to this," Jinwoo said quietly. Then he moved. Arya had trained her entire life in combat. She had studied every known fighting style in the galaxy. What Jinwoo did should have been impossible. He moved between the remaining Wrath warriors, like water flowing around stones. There was no wasted motion, no excess effort. Each touch from his hand resulted in a Wrath warrior collapsing. Their cybernetic enhancements sparked and died. Their organic bodies went limp in less than 30 seconds. 5 of the galaxy's most feared raiders lay unconscious or dead at Jinwoo's feet. The only one still standing was the leader, frozen in place with Jinwoo's hand resting lightly on the back of his neck. "What are you?" the Wrath leader whispered, his voice shaking with fear. "Someone who wanted to retire," Jinwoo replied. He leaned closer to the raider. "You are going to leave this ship now. You are going to take your warriors and go. And you are going to tell every Wrath in the galaxy that humans are off limits. All of them. Everywhere. Do you understand?" The Wrath leader nodded frantically. Jinwoo released him, and the raider scrambled backward, dragging his unconscious comrades with him. The retreat was so panicked that they abandoned half their equipment. When they were gone, Jinwoo turned to face Arya. His expression was neutral, calm, as if nothing unusual had just happened. But Arya was not calm. She stared at her husband with wide eyes, her blade still raised defensively. "What are you?" she whispered, echoing the Wrath leader's question. "Can we discuss this later?" Jinwoo asked. "Your ship is still under attack." Arya's training reasserted itself. She activated her communicator. "All units, this is Princess Arya. The Wrath are retreating. Pursue them to the hull breaches and make sure they leave." The response came back, confused but affirmative. Within minutes, reports confirmed that the Wrath corsairs were indeed fleeing the flagship in complete disarray, abandoning their assault as if they had seen something terrifying. They had, Arya realized. They had seen her husband. The ship's captain arrived at the royal quarters an hour later, after the all-clear had been sounded. He found Arya and Jinwoo sitting in silence, tea cooling on the table between them. "Princess, we have damage reports, but no casualties among our crew. The Wrath lost 20 warriors. I do not understand what happened." They have never retreated from a boarding action before. They encountered unexpected resistance, Arya said carefully. That will be all, Captain. When they were alone again, Arya turned to her husband. You owe me an explanation. Jingwu nodded slowly. I do. But you need to promise me something first. You need to promise to listen to everything I have to say before you react. Can you do that? I am a princess of the Kalarathi Empire. I do not make promises to your husband? Jingwu interrupted gently. Arya, what I am about to tell you will change everything you think you know about humans, about the galaxy, about why we are really married. I need you to hear all of it. Arya wanted to demand answers immediately, but something in Jinwu's tone stopped her. This was not the voice of a weak man or a simple diplomat. This was the voice of someone who carried a terrible burden. I promise, she said finally. Jinwu stood and walked to the observation window. Outside, the stars turned slowly in the void. Humans are not what we appear to be, he began. We are not a young species that only recently discovered space travel. We are something much older, something the galaxy has feared for 10,000 years. That is impossible, Arya said. Earth has only had spaceflight for 90 years. Earth has only had spaceflight for 90 years, Jinwu agreed. But humans have existed much longer than that, scattered across the stars under different names, hiding our true nature even from ourselves. He turned to face her, and in his eyes, Arya saw something ancient and sad. We were called the Inheritors once, and we nearly destroyed the galaxy. Arya felt her world beginning to shift beneath her feet. Tell me everything, she said, and Jinwu began to speak, revealing secrets that had been buried for millennia, truths that would shatter everything Arya believed about her weak, unremarkable husband. Jinwu spoke for hours. Arya listened without interruption, keeping her promise even as the revelations grew more impossible. 10,000 years ago, the galaxy was different, Jinwu said, still looking out at the stars. The species you know today existed, but they were all subordinate to one power, a species called the Inheritors. We ruled a third of known space, not through conquest, but because we were simply too powerful for anyone to challenge. What made you so powerful? Arya asked. Everything, Jinwu replied. Enhanced strength and speed, regeneration that could heal almost any wound, the ability to adapt to any environment. But those were just physical advantages. The real power was something we called the sight, the ability to perceive probability itself, to see possible futures and manipulate quantum events. Arya wanted to call this fantasy, but she had seen Jinwu move. She had seen what he did to the Vroth warriors. If the Inheritors were so powerful, what happened to them? We destroyed ourselves, Jinwu said simply. A philosophical divide split our species. Some believed we should guide younger races, help them develop, protect them. Others believed we should control everything directly, that our power gave us the right to rule. The debate became an argument. The argument became a war. He turned from the window, and Arya saw tears in his eyes. The Inheritor Civil War lasted 3 centuries. We had weapons that could crack planets, technology that could rewrite reality itself. Entire star systems were destroyed in the fighting. Hundreds of worlds burned. Trillions died, not just Inheritors, but every species caught in the crossfire. How did it end? Arya whispered. The shepherds, those who believed in guidance rather than control, won. But it was a hollow victory. The Inheritor civilization was shattered beyond repair. And both sides realized the same terrible truth. As long as we existed with our full power, we would always be a threat. To others and to ourselves. Jinwu sat down across from Arya. So they made a choice. They would change what they were. Using genetic engineering, far beyond anything the modern galaxy knows, they modified themselves. They locked away their abilities deep in their DNA, creating blocks that would suppress the power in future generations. But why not just destroy themselves entirely? Arya asked. Because we still hoped, Jinwoo said softly. Hoped that someday our descendants might be worthy of the legacy. That they might find a way to have power and wisdom together. So the inheritors scattered. They went to empty worlds, isolated regions of space, and they started over. Different groups became different species. Arya felt her mind reeling. You are saying humans are descended from these inheritors? One branch of them, yes. Earth was chosen specifically because it was so remote, so insignificant, that no one would ever look there. The inheritors, who became humanity, locked their abilities away so thoroughly that most humans do not even know what they are. We forgot our own history. But you remember, Arya said, looking at her husband with new eyes. You have these abilities. The genetic locks are not perfect, Jinwoo explained. About 1 in every 10 million humans is born with partial access to the old abilities. We call ourselves remnants. I am one of them. There are others. How many others? On Earth alone? About 800 of us. Scattered across human colonies, maybe 2,000 total. We formed the Remnant Council, a secret organization that has one purpose: to keep humanity's true nature hidden and to prevent the genetic locks from failing. Arya stood and began pacing. The elder species know this. That is why they fear humans. That is why they agreed to our marriage so quickly. Yes, Jinwoo confirmed. Species like the Vorians, the Kellish, the ancient ones who were around during the Inheritor Wars, they remember. They know what humans really are. They have been quietly containing Earth for millennia, keeping us isolated, hoping the locks never fail. And if the locks fail? Arya asked, though she feared the answer. Jinwoo's expression grew dark. There are 8 billion humans on Earth, Arya. If even 10% of them suddenly gained access to inheritor abilities, the chaos would be unimaginable. Most would not know how to control their power. They would lash out in fear, in confusion. The resulting destruction would make the ancient wars look small. So you hide, Arya said. You pretend to be weak. We do not pretend, Jinwoo corrected. Most humans are weak by galactic standards. The locks work. But the remnants like me, we carry the burden of knowing. Every day we hold back. Every moment we choose not to use our full abilities. Because if we reveal what we can do, if the galaxy realizes just how close humanity is to becoming the inheritors again, they will panic. They will destroy Earth, Arya finished. Yes, there are ancient weapons. Locked away since the Inheritor Wars, planet killers, reality bombs. The elder species keep them maintained, just in case. If humanity shows signs of awakening, if the locks begin to fail, those weapons will be used. 8 billion people dead to prevent 8 billion potential threats. Arya sat down heavily. Why did you agree to marry me? Why risk exposure? Because the Remnant Council believes integration is our only hope, Jinwoo explained. If humans remain isolated, if we stay mysterious and unknown, fear will grow. Eventually, some species will decide a preemptive strike is necessary. But if we can become part of the galactic community, if other species see us as people rather than threats, maybe we can survive long enough to find a real solution. A solution to what? To being what we are, Jinwoo said. The locks are failing, Arya, slowly, over generations, but they are degrading. In a few thousand years, maybe less, humanity will begin awakening, whether we want it or not. We need the galaxy to trust us before that happens. We need allies, not enemies, when the time comes. Arya looked at her husband, seeing him clearly for the first time. He was not weak. He was carrying an impossible burden, the weight of his entire species' survival on his shoulders. Every day he pretended to be less than he was, hiding terrible power behind a gentle smile, all to protect both humanity and the galaxy. "Is this why you never react to insults?" she asked. "Why you let people like Commander Vex mock you?" "If I reacted with my full strength, even once, it would reveal what I am," Jinwoo said. "Better to be thought weak and harmless than to be known as dangerous. Fear breeds violence." Arya felt something shifting in her chest. When she looked at Jinwoo now, she did not see a weak human. She saw a warrior of a different kind, fighting a battle no one else could see, protecting everyone around him from a threat they did not even know existed. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "You owe me nothing," Jinwoo replied. "You thought I was weak, because that is what I wanted you to think. The deception was intentional. But you told me the truth now." "Why?" Jinwoo met her eyes. "Because I am tired of lying to you. And because you deserve to know who you married. If you want to annul this marriage, if you want nothing to do with me now that you know what I am, I will understand." Arya considered this. A few hours ago, she had resented this marriage, resented being tied to what she thought was a weak, inferior species. But now she knew the truth. Jinwoo was not inferior. He was something the galaxy had not seen in 10,000 years. A being of almost unlimited power who chose restraint over domination. That, Arya realized, was true strength. "I do not want to annul our marriage," she said finally. "But I want it to be real. No more lies between us." Jinwoo smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "No more lies," he agreed. They talked through the night. Jinwoo answering Arya's questions about human history, about the Remnant Council, about what it was like to live with abilities he could never fully use. Arya told him about Kalrathi culture, about her own struggles as a warrior princess, about the pressure to always be strong. As the false dawn of the ship's light cycle began, Arya realized she was beginning to like her husband. Not despite what he was, but because of it. She did not know that their newfound understanding would be tested within days. Trouble was coming to Earth, and the choice between hiding and revealing would be taken out of their hands. The emergency transmission came 3 days later. Arya was training in the combat arena when Jinwoo rushed in, his face pale. She had never seen him look afraid before. "We need to go to the command center, now." They ran through the corridors together. When they reached the command center, the main display showed a scene of chaos. Ships burning in orbit around Earth, cities with entire sections gone dark. And worst of all, reports of strange phenomena occurring across the planet. Director Hannah appeared on the screen. She was a middle-aged Korean woman, her hair pulled back severely, her face lined with stress. She was also, Jinwoo had told Arya, one of the most powerful remnants alive. "Jinwoo, we have a catastrophic situation," Hannah said without preamble. "The Vring Collective launched an attack on our border colonies 4 hours ago. They deployed a biological weapon designed to target human genetics. Are the colonies evacuated?" Jinwoo asked. "Yes, but that is not the problem. The weapon was supposed to weaken our immune systems. Instead, it is interacting with the genetic locks. Jinwoo, they are failing. We are seeing spontaneous awakenings across the entire human population." Arya watched the color drain from Jinwoo's face. "How many?" "Last count was 700 million and rising. Most are minor manifestations, but we have thousands of near-full awakenings. And they have no training, no control, no idea what is happening to them." The screen split to show footage from various locations on Earth. In one city, a woman stood in the middle of a street, crying as buildings around her crumbled to dust at her touch. In another, a man floated 30 meters in the air, unable to figure out how to come down. In a third, Fires spread unchecked as a terrified child accidentally ignited everything nearby. "How long do we have?" Jinwoo asked quietly. "The models say 48 hours before total cascade failure. After that, we lose containment completely." "Jinwoo, this is what we always feared. The locks are breaking, and we cannot stop it." Arya felt Jinwoo's hand grip the edge of the console so hard the metal bent under his fingers. "I am coming home. Prepare the council." "There is more," Hana said, her voice breaking. "The elder species detected the energy signatures. They know what is happening, and they are mobilizing their fleets." The display changed to show massive warships gathering at the edges of human space. Kalarathi vessels, Vorian dreadnoughts, Kellish battle groups. Dozens of species, all moving toward Earth. "They are going to sterilize the planet," Jinwoo said. "The Galactic Council votes in 6 hours," Hana confirmed. From their perspective, 8 billion awakening inheritors is an extinction-level threat to the entire galaxy. They will not wait for us to lose control. They will strike first. Arya stepped forward. "I need to contact the Kalarathi High Council." "Princess, with respect, your people are leading the call for intervention," Hana said bitterly. "Which is why I need to speak with them," Arya insisted. She turned to Jinwoo. "Get to Earth. Do whatever you can. I will handle the politics." Jinwoo looked at her with gratitude and fear mixed in his eyes. "Thank you." They separated, Jinwoo taking a fast courier to Earth, while Arya opened emergency channels to the Kalarathi homeworld. Commander Vex appeared on her screen, looking triumphant. "Princess, you need to evacuate immediately. The human threat is finally revealing itself." "Commander, you do not understand the situation," Arya said. "I understand perfectly. The humans have been hiding their true nature, just as the old stories warned. Now they show their power, and we must respond with force before they destroy us all." "They are not trying to destroy anyone," Arya argued. "They are victims of an attack by the Vryn. This awakening is not intentional." "Intention does not matter," Vex replied. "Result is what matters. And the result is 8 billion potential threats to galactic peace." Arya spent hours arguing with the High Council, but they were afraid. She could see it in their eyes, hear it in their voices. The elder species had passed down stories of the inheritor wars, tales of entire civilizations erased, of weapons that unmade reality itself. The Kalarathi were warriors, but they were not fools. They knew they could not fight the inheritors if humanity fully awakened out on Earth. Jinwoo found a scene of controlled chaos. The Remnant Council had set up emergency centers in every major city, trying to help newly awakened humans understand and control their abilities. But they were overwhelmed. 800 trained remnants could not possibly manage 700 million confused, frightened people. Jinwoo found Hana in the Australian outback, where they had established their main command center. "What are our options?" "We have one," Hana said, pulling up a holographic display. "The genetic locks have a failsafe. A reset protocol that can reactivate them if needed. But it requires enormous energy and a focal point." "A focal point?" "Someone with enough control to channel the reset signal to billions of people simultaneously. Someone who can handle the energy load without burning out." Jinwoo studied the specifications. The energy required was staggering. This would kill whoever serves as the focal point. "Yes," Hana confirmed quietly. "Their neural pathways would burn out completely. But it would save humanity and the galaxy. The locks would reset, the awakenings would stop, and we could go back to hiding." "Back to living a lie," Jinwoo said. "Back to living," Hana corrected. "Which is better than the alternative. The galactic fleet arrives in 30 hours. If we cannot show them we have the situation under control, they will fire. And we cannot fight them, Jinwoo. Even with 700 million partially awakened humans, we cannot fight the combined military might of 40 species. Jinwoo looked out over the command center. People rushed back and forth, trying desperately to contain a crisis that grew worse by the hour. In the distance, he could see one of the temporary training facilities where newly awakened humans practiced basic control. A young girl was making small objects float, laughing with delight even as tears streamed down her face from the stress. "There has to be another way," he said. "If you can think of one." "We have 30 hours to implement it," Hana replied. Across the galaxy, Arya made a decision. She had exhausted political channels with no success. The Kalarathi High Council was set on their course, and they were bringing the other species with them. Fear had made them willing to commit genocide to prevent a threat that might not even materialize. She opened a private channel to Earth and asked for Jinwoo. When his face appeared on her screen, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes. "How bad is it?" she asked. "We are losing control," Jinwoo admitted. "Every hour, more people awaken. Most of them are terrified. Some are lashing out. We had 3 deaths today from humans who could not control their strength, accidents that killed people they loved. And the Galactic Fleet is coming." "I know. I tried to stop them." "I know you did. Thank you for trying." Arya took a deep breath. "Jinwoo, I have an idea, but you are not going to like it." She explained her plan. Jinwoo listened with growing horror. "Arya, no. That is too dangerous." "It is the only way," she insisted. "Your ancestors chose to hide their power because they could not control it. But what if the problem was not the power itself, but the fear of it? What if humans do not need to choose between being locked away and being monsters?" "What are you suggesting?" "I am suggesting humanity stops hiding," Arya said. "You reveal what you are to the galaxy, not as a threat, but as a choice. You show them that power and responsibility can coexist. The elder species will never accept that. They will see it as proof we need to be destroyed. Then we change their minds," Arya said firmly. Together, Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled sadly. "You know this might not work." "I know. But it is better than surrender. And it is better than genocide." "When did you become so brave?" Jinwoo asked. "I married a man who carries the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders every day," Arya replied. "I learned from the best." The Galactic Fleet arrived at the edge of human space exactly on schedule. 400 warships from 40 species, carrying enough firepower to crack a planet. They formed a blockade around Earth, weapons armed, waiting for the order to fire. Jinwoo stood on a platform in the Australian outback, with Hannah and the other remnant council members around him. Above them, thousands of drones broadcast his image to every ship in the fleet, to every government in the galaxy, to every screen on Earth that he wore simple clothes, no armor, no weapons. Just a man standing alone before the combined military might of the known galaxy. "My name is Jinwoo," he began, his voice calm and clear. "I am a human. I am also a remnant of the species you once called the Inheritors. And I am here to tell you the truth." Across the galaxy, trillions of beings watched. On the bridge of the Kalarathi flagship, Arya stood beside Commander Vex and the High Council, her heart pounding as she watched her husband put everything at risk. 10,000 years ago, my ancestors nearly destroyed the galaxy, Jinwoo continued. They were powerful beyond measure, and they could not control that power. The Inheritor Civil War killed trillions. When it ended, the survivors chose to change themselves, to lock away their abilities and forget what they were. They became different species, scattered across the stars. Humans are one of those species. He paused, letting that sink in. For 10,000 years, we have hidden our true nature. We have pretended to be weak, harmless, insignificant. We did this because we were afraid. Afraid of what we might become. Afraid of what you might do if you knew the truth. And our fear was justified. Right now, 40 species have weapons pointed at my homeworld, ready to kill 8 billion people because you are afraid of what we represent. Jinwoo raised his hand, and the air around him began to shimmer. I am going to show you what I can do. Not to threaten you, but because I am done with lies. I am done with hiding. Humanity deserves better than to live in fear, and the galaxy deserves better than to make decisions based on old nightmares. What happened next would be recorded in history books across the galaxy for millennia to come. Jinwoo demonstrated his abilities one by one. He showed matter manipulation, turning sand into crystal and back again. He showed energy projection, creating spheres of light that brightened the dark sky. He showed enhanced strength, lifting massive boulders with ease. He showed regeneration, cutting his own hand and watching it heal in seconds. But the most impressive display was when he showed the sight. Jinwoo explained probability manipulation, how inheritors could perceive quantum possibilities and nudge reality toward certain outcomes. To demonstrate, he asked one of the orbiting ships to fire a missile at the ground near him. The Vorian vessel complied, launching a kinetic projectile that would impact with the force of a small nuclear weapon. Every being watching held their breath as the missile streaked toward Earth. Jinwoo stood still, his eyes closed. The missile changed course. Not dramatically, just a tiny adjustment in trajectory, every few milliseconds, too subtle for most sensors to detect. But those tiny changes added up. The missile curved around Jinwoo in a perfect arc and buried itself harmlessly in the desert kilometers away. This is what I am, Jinwoo said. This is what billions of humans are becoming as the genetic locks fail. And I am choosing. We are choosing to use this power, not for conquest, but for cooperation. Not for dominance, but for coexistence. He spread his arms wide. I stand before you unarmed and undefended. If you believe humanity is too dangerous to exist, then fire. And us now. But know that you will be killing billions of people whose only crime is being born with abilities they did not ask for and are learning to control. The silence that followed was deafening. On the Kalrathi flagship, Commander Vex moved to give the order to fire. Arya stopped him with a hand on his arm. Wait, she said. I want to speak. She activated the broadcast system, and her image appeared beside Jinwoo's on screens across the galaxy. I am Princess Arya of the Kalrathi Empire. 3 months ago, I married Jinwoo in a political alliance. I thought he was weak. I resented being tied to what I believed was an inferior species. Arya looked directly at the camera. I was wrong. Jinwoo is not weak. He is one of the strongest beings I have ever met, not because of his abilities, but because of his restraint. Every day, he holds back power that could level cities. Every moment, he chooses peace over violence. And he does this to protect all of us, humans and aliens alike. She turned to face the High Council. I have seen my husband's power. I have also seen his compassion, his dedication, and his unwavering commitment to protecting the innocent. If the measure of a species is not their strength, but how they choose to use it, then humans have already proven themselves worthy. Arya issued her challenge. Give humanity 1 generation. 25 years to establish control, to prove they can wield inheritor abilities responsibly. If they fail, if they show signs of aggression or instability, the Kalrathi Empire will lead the intervention ourselves. But if they succeed, the galaxy gains not a threat, but an ally of unparalleled capability. The High Council deliberated for hours. Finally, they agreed to Arya's proposal. The other species followed their lead, withdrawing the fleet but establishing a monitoring cordon around human space. The crisis was not over. But the immediate threat of annihilation had passed. On Earth, the real work began. The Remnant Council, with help from an unexpected source, started the long process of teaching billions of humans to control their awakening abilities. The unexpected help came from the Vryn Collective, who realized their terrible mistake and offered their expertise in genetic manipulation to help stabilize the awakening process. The Vryn had expected to be destroyed for attacking Earth. Instead, the confused, awakening humans had simply defended themselves and let the Vryn retreat. This act of restraint from beings with the power to pursue and annihilate their attackers fundamentally changed the collective's understanding of humanity. Over the next 5 years, Earth transformed. Training centers appeared in every city. The Remnant Council expanded into an educational institution. Children learned to control their abilities alongside reading and mathematics. It was not easy. There were accidents, tragedies, moments when it seemed the old fears might be justified. But humanity persevered. They proved that power and wisdom could coexist, that strength did not have to mean violence, that being what they were did not make them monsters. Jinwoo and Arya became symbols of human-alien cooperation. They traveled the galaxy together, speaking to governments, easing fears, building bridges between species. Their marriage, which began as a political necessity, became a genuine partnership built on mutual respect and love. On the 5th anniversary of the crisis, they stood together overlooking a training facility in Seoul. Thousands of young humans practiced basic ability control, their laughter echoing across the grounds. Children made small objects levitate, created harmless light displays, and learned the most important lesson of all. With great power comes great responsibility. Do you ever regret it? Arya asked her husband, being the one who had to bear this burden. Jinwoo watched a little girl successfully levitate a ball for the first time, her face lighting up with joy. Every day, he admitted. But I would not change it. Someone had to bridge the gap between what we were and what we can become. I am just glad I did not have to do it alone. Arya took his hand, her crystalline fingers intertwining with his human ones. 2 species, 2 individuals, choosing partnership over fear. Across the galaxy, species watched and waited. Some remained afraid, convinced that humanity would eventually fall back into old patterns. Others were hopeful, inspired by what they saw. But all agreed on one thing: the galaxy had changed. The return of the inheritors, or rather their children, had forced every species to confront their fears and prejudices, and humanity, awakened to its true nature, faced the enormous responsibility of proving that hope was justified. They were not the inheritors of old, driven by philosophy into civil war. They were something new, something that had never existed before, beings of immense power who chose to build rather than destroy.